Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 PS Vita PSN review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at OlliOlli, which I can only assume there's a reason why it's not OlliOlli. The reason I left that gap, I guarantee you there's been at least one person who just went oi oi oi, and it's one of them that I'm pretty sure it was oggy 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 oi 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 originally, but as soon as you do anything similar then the 3 times in a row, then you're going to get oi 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 as a response. So I can only assume that's why they've called it OlliOlli, because it seems weird to even have the second Ollie in there. Why not just call it Ollie, you know? It's almost as if they wanted to do that and then thought, well, no, we'll just call it OlliOlli and then we'll be a bit different, and I don't know. All I know is it's a weird name for a skateboarding game. It's bare bones basic presentation and everything on the game, really. At the start, you can go into the tutorial and there's all sorts of things that it tells you. You can go into the options and they're very basic. You can go into the daily grind. Now, the daily grind is obviously daily, and you can practice it as many times as you want. However, you can only play it once. So if that happens to you when you go to play it for real, then that's it. That's your score set. So your score will be 0, you've done absolutely awful, and it's a little annoying because, like any high score game like this, I mean, could you just imagine if Geometry Wars, when you played it, you could play practice, but when you played for real for the score, you could only play it once a day, and if something went wrong, then that's it. It would be terrible, because the whole point is to play and get a good score, and quite often, on a lot of these games, you do better in the practice than you do on the main thing. So the daily grind is something I both like and dislike, because I think you should be able to play it as many times as you want. I don't see the reason for the playing at once, because quite often I'll do amazing in a practice run and then something will happen and that's it, my real run will be ruined. And it is quite annoying. When you go into the main career, there's a load of stuff that you can unlock, a load of different locations, but they're all very samey, and it's part of the problem that people are complaining about. I'm in the middle of a transition to memory cards because I've been getting a 64 gig from Japan, so at this moment in time I've got nothing unlocked except the very bare bone basics of the first level, the first pro, and the first spot, because as well as getting the 5 levels of amateur, then the 5 pro, and you go through like that, you've also got the spots where you've got 5 pro spots and 5 amateur spots, and again you go through like that. And spots, the whole point is you've got to set as high a score as you can. The main game, like the career and that, you've got objectives to do, and it's very Tony Hawks-ish. So I've got to get 40k high score, I've got to get a 15k maxi combo, I've got to be a total perfectionist, I've got to get a 1k threshold, and my precious is something I'll have to discover at the time. And it's just like that. I mean, it's the same as how on Tony Hawk's you'd have, like, do this, that, and the other, so jump a certain gap with a certain skill. There's things like that on it. There's collect a certain thing. There's, like, find the tape or find the DVD and just things like that. Control-wise, it works quite well, and you might have been noticed what the hell I'm doing with all these sloppies, but they're kind of there for a point, because it's the one weird thing about the controls in the game. First up, any time you fall over, like what I've just done there, then that's it, you runs over and you start again. But control-wise, you use the left analog stick to jump and flip, and the X is to land. And you've got to time your landing perfectly in order to get an actual good landing. So, like that there, you'll have noticed the difference. I'll have hit it at the right time and I've got perfect. There's hitting it like that, where it's just off. You get slick, I think it comes up. I tend to miss what it says, to be fair, because I'm too busy focusing on not crashing into something that's in front of me. And as well as being able to use the left analog and the X button, there's also, if I go to the Trictionary, which is out there, there's also like combinations, so you can hold like the right button and the left button, so them L and R, and use the analog and things like that, and there's different grinds and all that, and it's just, it's got an expansive trick selection, even though it only uses 3 buttons and an analog. And the X button is also how to basically kick yourself off, and it does say early on that 2 kickoffs is the maximum you need to reach full speed. So, for example, if I can restart here, I'll just bash the button and I won't get any faster because I'm already at max speed. It only takes 2 to get there, so bashing it doesn't really do anything at all. And there's a lot to like about the game, but there's also quite a bit to hate about it, and, well, not so much hate, but this does feel like it's a love letter for all the fans of old school skateboarding games of the likes of Tony Hawk's, but I feel like they could have done so much more, just utilising other buttons, making the backgrounds and things, like making the areas feel truly different, because that was one of the best things about the Tony Hawk's games, going onto a level for the first time just to see the things that you can do and the things you can trick off, whereas instead this all feels very samey. So as much as there's a huge amount of content with the amount of spots and career levels and that to play, they all feel pretty much the same. It's almost as if they would have been better off doing one level that repeats itself over and over, and as you go along you get new tricks, you know, and it slightly gets longer, the level, and like adds a couple new grinds or things like that. They might have been better off doing that. I don't know. All I know is it is a good game, but I think it's very overpriced for what you're getting because of how basic it is in certain respects. But if you are a fan of old school skateboarding games, I mean, back before the days of you used, like what you do now, where you've got to become one with the right analog, and you've got to make the right analog an extension of the skateboard, and you've got to move it in the exact right way in order to pull off tricks and all that other pretentious crap that made me pretty much detest any skateboarding game that's been made in the last 10 years. I absolutely hate the whole thing. I want an arcadey style skateboard game where you can just do loads of different tricks, do stuff that breaks the laws of physics, that totally defies everything, because at the end of the day, I actually remember when the Tony Hawk's games came out and people were saying, oh well, you can't do tricks like that in real life, and do you know what skateboarders said? Give us a couple of weeks, let's see if we can pull some of them off. So they actually made the real skaters get better, because all of a sudden people wanted to see those sorts of tricks, and people then started to do it. There's stuff that they were then creating just intentionally and going, so how about you put this trick into Tony Hawk's 2, you know, because I've just done this and no one's done it before, so why don't you put that in? And I actually thought that was really cool, and I don't ever remember hearing that happening with the likes of Skate or anything like that, and I couldn't stand them. So yeah, there's not really much can be said about this. It's a good game. It's probably worth half the price of its launch price, so you might want to wait until it drops in price if you're thinking the same, that it looks like it could be limited, because there are ways that it is very limited. But I'd love to see them expand on the franchise and maybe do one that's bigger and better. Maybe do maybe if they could go into OlliOlli 3D, you know, and like actually make a three-dimensional version of this, like a proper old school skateboarding game for the next one. Maybe this is just like a trial run, and then they thought, well, people have bought it, people have liked it, so they might play it, so let's go do it. I mean, I'd personally love for that to happen, I really would. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid, or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel, because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.